On this episode of RevTalks, we're joined by Jay, founder of Leapath. How are you doing today, Jay?
Hey, doing good, Mason. Thank you so very much for having me on the call.
Awesome. Thanks so much for being here. And can you give us a high-level overview of Leapath and what you guys are building?
Yeah. So Leapath is our intelligence platform, primarily via AI enabled, and we help students to figure out their gap and help them understand with respect to what needs to be done to get a redemption with respect to the career of their choice. So primarily our platform is used by the career services department, wherein they look at diagnosing as well as prescribing, so on and so forth with respect to the careers of students.
Awesome. Yeah, so it kind of sounds like you built an intelligence platform to help students with education.
Absolutely. It's not education, primarily with respect to their employability, the jobs which they would be seeking. So typically what happens is when students are pursuing their education, though they feel that academically their qualification can kind of help them land onto a job. But given the dynamic times as of date, we see there's a lot of change that is happening with respect to AI and various other things coming in. So we would like to go ahead and understand the student down with the intelligence platform that we do have, do the diagnosis, prescribe them what else they need to do so that they have their readiness scores better than where they are at the.
Got it. Yeah, so it makes sense. So it kind of sounds like you're building an education platform for students in universities or that are about to go out into the workforce and helping them with readiness scores and prepare to actually go into the workforce. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
So absolutely, you got it right. So we are helping the students who plans to get into the workforce. So before that, we want to make sure that there is a prescriptive approach which is given to them rather than we being reactive once the degree is done.
Got it. Yeah, it's awesome. And so, Jay, you spent years selling into universities at Certify Me before this. So, what did you see inside placement cells that made you go build Leapath?
Yeah. So I have been interacting with the career services department, and what I have understood by and large across the world, it's one and the same story, wherein students they do qualify with certain qualification, let it be undergraduate qualifications or postgraduate qualification. But unfortunately, immediately, okay, the people who are lucky are probably graduating out of good colleges and all. So they may end up getting into the jobs of their choice. But most of the time, what happens is initial couple of months after their graduation or post graduation, they end up struggling to get the right kind of job, and they end up taking up jobs not of their choice, but just because they have to kind of be part of the workforce and make sure that they are able to meet their rights. So when we saw this kind of problem out there in the market, we said that define today AI is empowering a lot of tools, and if we are able to use it in the right way, definitely we would be able to give that kind of intelligence to the universities and colleges wherein they can be proactive rather than reactive. What I mean of this is basically they need not wait for students to pass out and then they go about taking corrective actions. Rather than that, before that, if they are able to understand the health of the workforce or the students who are the seniors who are graduating out, then they will be able to prescribe and tell them that, hey, why don't you take up these qualification? Why not these internships? So on and so.
Got it. Yeah, it definitely makes sense. So, I mean, it sounds like you've had experience in this industry prior, and you saw an opportunity where students that were graduating from schools, from good universities with degrees in specific practices were struggling to actually go and land those positions out of school. So instead of them applying for jobs randomly and trying to get the job that they want or getting a job that isn't even in the industry that they got a degree in, you're essentially jumping in, helping them using technology to actually educate them on how they can land that position where they would where they had experience directly from their degree to apply it
Right.
and make the process a whole lot easier for people just coming out of school with degrees to actually land those positions.
Absolutely. You got it right. So that's what we are trying to do. So typically what happens is most of the time we go about taking up a qualification and there might be a position that we would be really interested about, but it might, our qualification may or may not kind of lead us to that particular job. So once they go about saying that, okay, these are the jobs or careers of my choice, then we look at prescribing them and saying that, hey, why don't you do these all extra things that can help you in terms of making your resume strong and you would be able to stand a better chance in terms of getting a job of your choice.
Got it. Yeah, so it sounds like it's very heavy on the education side of things, where it's like you need to go get XYZ certification. You should start by working at this internship, and then at that point, you'll be way more qualified on your resume to actually get this job that you're looking to land. So that kind of leads me to my next question, which is you've told the story of a placement who said, "We know they weren't good enough. We just don't know why." So why can't colleagues answer that question?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, so you've told the story of a
Mhm,
placement head who said,
mhm.
"We know they weren't good enough. We just don't know why." Why can't colleagues answer that question?
Yeah. So most of the time, what happens is like placement cells or the career services heads, they come back and they cut a blanks in terms of saying that okay, fine, our students have the qualification, but they don't know why they aren't getting placed. Okay? Now, these are real difficult questions for them to kind of answer because their job is to get in companies, make sure that they are placed. Okay. Now, I'll give you a classic example in terms of how it happened. So you had the director career services. Now, when before a semester starts, typically the management of the college would go about asking that, okay, fine, what is your feeler in terms of how much percentage of our students would go about getting placed, getting a good job, and how many companies you would be able to get? Though the companies are still seeking talent and they would like to recruit the workforce of their choice and making sure that they are able to get talent. But unfortunately, most of the time, what happens is colleges in most of the places are churning out degrees. Okay. The schools are churning out degrees rather than giving the desired skills what employers are looking for. Most of the time, what happens, the employers come and the schools end up cutting a sorry figure because none of the students happen to get hired by these companies or the governments. Okay. So if it so happens that we are able to tell each and every student, hey buddy, you are lacking these particular skills, why don't you do something around it in terms of why don't you pick up some internships, some certifications, or probably go ahead and participate in hackathons or get your bit more stronger with respect to projects that you have done, so on and so forth, you know?
Yeah, for sure. So it kind of sounds like you're facilitating and managing both sides of the equation. So you're actually going into the universities with students that are specialized in something very specific, and they may not have the exact skills or qualifications on their resume to actually land their ideal position. So you're kind of helping them and educating them in the sense where they need to get XYZ certification, but then you're also simultaneously working with the hiring side of that. So you're working with recruiters and the team that's responsible for actually acquiring good talent and asking them what kind of skills or certifications does somebody need in order to work at your company. So then once there's a fit, it's you kind of know what the exact fit is for both sides.
Absolutely. Yeah, you
Awesome.
got it right. So basically, we are doing this fit gap and ensuring that we are able to bring down this gap as much as possible by getting to understand that what the ask is from outside and making sure that the students are able to scale up and meet up the requirement from the college.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely makes sense. So you're in a pilot phase with a small team. So what's the hardest part of building this right now? Is it product sales or something different?
So currently we have figured out a hack in terms of getting our product in place. So what we have done is broken down the entire project with respect to smaller microservices. About the architecture, we had to spend quite a bit of time in terms of putting that together as well as the database schemas and all of that. Post that, it has become easier for us to go ahead and create these new services and then integrating it, wherein it's a hybrid model in terms of having AI in some places. In some places, AI isn't there. Yeah, having said that, so the product is there right now. The biggest challenge, as usual, with respect to most of the B2B SaaS companies, is kind of gaining visibility, ensuring that our marketing is done. So there's quite a bit of energies which is being channelized in terms of creating the brand presence as well as making sure that we are landing in front of the ICP. And thankfully, right now, we have got a couple of big projects on which we are working and we are trying to reach the product just to make sure that we are able to accommodate their request. Any which ways on our roadmap, we had these things happening. The only thing is we had to kind of clear it up and make sure that it's there in place. I hope
Awesome.
I answered your question, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So, I mean, it sounds to me like you're looking for the opportunity to implement AI in different parts of your business, as well as focusing your efforts on your go-to-market and actually putting your platform and how useful it is in front of your ideal customer to actually warm them up, build trust in them, and actually eventually drag them down the pipeline or the funnel and eventually get them to buy. So with that being said, I mean, it seems like this platform is very ambitious. It has adaptive assessments and 150 skill taxonomy and live dashboards. So how are you handling the engineering side as a growth background founder?
Yeah. So we do have a good technology team, and thanks to AI today, so most of the knowledge is gathered using the AI, as well as I have been in the higher education space for close to 1.5 decades. So that experience brings in a lot of knowledge on the table in terms of what these colleges are looking out for and what the gaps are. So we are able to kind of ensure that we are able to engineer with respect to what the real ask is and what the market is seeking, rather than we trying to build a specific product which may or may not kind of go out in the market. And definitely we are seeing that kind of traction happening. And we are pretty confident that things could kind of take off. Now coming back to your question with respect to how the engineering is happening. So we have architects and database folks who give out their consultancy to us, and we are able to kind of go ahead and ensure that the backend architecture is pretty strong, and the current tech team, their main role is to make sure that these microservices are kind of brought in, and we are able to ensure that our platform is well enabled by AI.
Yeah, for sure. So it kind of sounds like you're in a really good position right now, just simply because you have so much experience working with people and helping them get the experience required to work at companies. So it almost seems like it's become easier for you to actually handle the hiring and building out your own technical team on the engineering side as a founder, just simply because of the experience you have with talking with people, understanding what skills they need in order to work at a company, and overall just qualifying the fit when it comes to working in a new company. So it sounds like you've got a pretty strong engineering and technology side at your company.
Absolutely. Yes.
Awesome. Yeah. So you're also advising on a national career guidance platform in the GCC. So how does that connect with to what you're building in India?
So, though our product is being built in India and we are piloting India with a couple of colleges here, so the intent is to take it global fast because we feel the global market also equally needs this product. And just being a B2B SaaS platform and having my previous experiences in the B2B SaaS space, as well as having done a couple of enterprise deals, it becomes easier for me to kind of understand how to kind of go ahead and engineer products and make sure that we are able to give an enterprise solution to the various organizations. So thankfully, we do have partners out there in the GCC countries, so who kind of brought in this particular national level initiative, and we thought we find why don't we kind of jump into it and make sure that we are able to position ourselves. And they like the product, and we are looking at making sure that we are able to kind of go ahead and deliver them with respect to whatever specs that they have given, with respect to their requirement. And by and large, the requirement fairly revolves around the product that we have there.
Yeah, for sure. That definitely makes sense. So this brings me to my last question. Jay, so what need has to be true for Leapath in the next 90 days for pilots to convert?
So first and foremost, we'll have to kind of look at stabilizing the product. So we have already piloting with about 3 colleges and schools. So things are kind of moving on well. Now, the real challenge and the real thing we need to kind of go ahead and test out is how we are able to power our entire engine with respect to the AI being infused with the proper hang of it. So, and at the 2 weeks, ideally about 5 AI engines would be out there. And once we get control of that and we are able to kind of tell out confidently that, okay, fine, our product is kind of stable and we are definitely AI powered. And that would give us a pretty higher degree of confidence because from the product standpoint, we are looking at building something which is though we don't technically looking at, we don't have a competition on the market, but having spoken to a lot of ICPs, we understand that there is a huge need with respect to a similar kind of product. Now, finally, to answer your question, so the product stabilization is the main important thing. And along with that, we are seeking couple of paid customers also. Already we do have our partners working out there in Europe and GCC. And along with the bigger deals, we are looking at couple of schools and colleges going ahead and adopting our product. And we are able to kind of take it out with them. Though we may look at initially doing a pilot work with them for close to about 90 days. But definitely, once we are able to take up the pilot, we are pretty confident that things may start taking shape there.
Awesome. Yeah, it seems like what you're building in the space is really going to revolutionize the education side as well as the recruiting and talent side of things. It seems like you're working very closely with people that are just graduating universities directly as well as employers at different companies. So with that being said, Jay, this has been great. So where can people find you? What's your company website and your LinkedIn?
Yeah. So they can reach us out on leapath.tech. This is not a very common extension. Typically, there is the .coms and .orgs. So ours is Leapath, Leapath .tech. So they can look at reaching out. Otherwise, my mail ID is j@leapath.tech. So they can anytime write into me, and I'll be more than happy to go ahead and address their queries and make sure that we are able to extend our services to them.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us on RevTalks today and hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so very much. Pleasure talking to you, Nelson. Have a great day. Bye bye.
Of course, you as well.